Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tatiana. I am a business coach and mentor for women wanting to start their own stationery businesses, and I'm excited for today's video. I'm changing up my location a little bit and kind of wanted to do a little bit of a fun series. We are in the midst of my favorite season, which is fall, and I love all things cozy and warm drinks and all that stuff, and so I thought maybe we could do something fun where I just kind of sit on the couch and just share real things with you guys and just talk about entrepreneurship, motherhood, life, and all of that stuff. And so I'm gonna kind of kick it off today with just the 5 things that I always hear when it comes from women that are wanting to get started with their own businesses. There's some of these just top 5 things that you can call them excuses, you can call them myths, misconceptions, of just things where people feel like this is just the hindrance for why they cannot get started with their business for whatever reason. And so this is just some of them, but I thought it would be fun to kind of share with you guys. Also giving you some tips as well. And at the end, if you stick around, I'm also going to share some really just kind of crucial tips for Q4 and really just the beginning of any quarter, but specifically Q4. So if you are kind of thinking of, you have a business and what can you be doing right now for your business, those tips are going to be at the end. So make sure you stick around for that. If you're new here, I just wanted to say welcome really quick. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I make a ton of videos to inspire you to start the business that you have been wanting to start, and specifically in the realm of creative businesses, y'all. That is my jam, especially product-based businesses. I've been running my stationery business for a little over 5 years now, and in this space, I am so passionate about helping you all to just do the things that you love. And so let's get right into this video. And this drink is so good, y'all. This is my caramel apple spice drink that I love. I think Starbucks might have discontinued it, so luckily I know how to make it at home, but let me know down below if you guys have ever tried a caramel apple spice drink, because it's pretty much amazing. Okay, so number 1 is, and I hear this one a lot, and that is that you feel like you need to know how to draw, to illustrate, to design, or anything like that in order to get started. And I am here to tell you that just like anything, when you get started, you are not going to know it all. And so do not ever feel like, if it's anything under the sun where you're feeling like, oh, well, I don't really know how to do that, so I can't do it. We all go into new things just unaware and not very knowledgeable. And, we can research ourselves to death on certain things, but until you truly get in there and you get started and you try it for yourself, you really never gain the experience or the knowledge. But once you've done it, then you have that. And so it's kind of the same thing with that question of illustration, graphic design, and things like that. And so for me personally, I actually started my graphic design journey around the same time of when I was getting ready to start this business. It was about a year prior to me starting the Stationery Muse that I started kind of getting into graphic design. I was actually running a photography business at the time, and I was designing my different little things I would hand out with my pricing on there and my business card and my website, and I was really getting into it really heavily at that time. And so I was self-taught, I learned, and I went along the way, but before that I didn't know a whole lot. And so same kind of with illustration. I've always kind of known how to draw a little bit, but I'm definitely not Picasso. I can do some things enough to get by, but I never felt like I would be putting my drawings or things on certain products like, Bun Girl, for example. So the biggest thing I will say is, if you have a desire within you to where you're asking that question of, do I really need to know how to do this? First of all, do you even want to do it? Because even if though you are running a business where maybe illustration is a big deal, graphic design is a big deal, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the person to execute those things. So it's important to first identify, do you want to do those things? Do you have a desire to learn it? And if so, my first suggestion really would be to start doing some 101 videos, some lessons, get on Skillshare, get on Udemy. That's where I learned how to use Illustrator and InDesign. Learn the programs, learn the things you need to know, learn how to use Procreate, especially if you like to sketch sometimes. I think that it will always be fun to learn how to use some of those digital tools to help you kind of turn your art into whatever it is you're wanting to use for your stationery business. But no, you do not have to know how to do those things to get started. But yes, you do want to learn some new skills. But if you are not desiring to do those things, then that is the great part about being able to work with other experts out there who offer those services. And so a great place to look, especially if you're wanting to get some illustrations done, like let's say maybe you want to have graphics done for I don't know, let's say you want to do a sticker kit and you want to have really pretty artwork, but you don't necessarily want to use the commercial artwork out there, which was one of the issues that I ran into after a few years running my business. I felt like all of the artwork I was getting was very similar to everyone else's because it was available to everyone. And so I decided to start kind of doing it myself. But what you can do is look on Fiverr. That is a great place to get started. There's a ton of amazing illustrators on there and so many other freelance type of websites like that. You know, just look up freelance illustrators, search on Instagram with the different hashtags to find illustrators, see if they do commissions, if they offer their artwork to other people to use. You know, articulate your vision, what it is that you're wanting to do, and they can make that happen for you as well. So just because you don't know how to do something, you know, there's really two routes to go. Either you find someone that can help you do it, or you can learn how to do it yourself. So okay, so another really big one is people always feel like they have to do stickers. And I am here to say that even though stickers are, you know, kind of, you know, they're popular, they do really well in certain situations and things like that, you do not have to do stickers. You don't have to sell stickers in your shop. And I remember when I first started my shop, I had even said to myself, I was like, I am not doing stickers. I just felt like, it was just already too many people doing it and different things like that. We're gonna get into that as another one of my points as well. But I ended up doing it for just different reasons that I wasn't expecting. It just kind of flowed really naturally, especially because if you kind of look at everything like an umbrella, when you think of stationery business, there's so many different categories under that umbrella that you can fall into. You might do cards, you may do planners, you may do journals, you might do just stickers, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So really think about what it is exactly that you're wanting to sell. You know, what is your niche? What is the thing, kind of like your thing? And then that'll help you kind of decide, do stickers even make sense? And you don't have to do stickers. It's definitely not for everybody. I will say it is a relatively cheap thing to start with. Stickers are not very expensive to make at all, just the materials and everything like that. The most expensive thing of that would of course be the machine that you would be using to cut them, whether you use a Silhouette or if you use a Cricut or something like that. But once you do that, that's kind of a one-time investment, and then you're really just paying for paper and ink. So it's really relatively inexpensive if you do decide to do stickers. But I always just like to say that there's so many other ways that you can grow a stationery business without feeling like you have to have stickers in your shop. And it's something that sometimes it feels like, okay, I guess I have to do stickers, but you really don't. You can find other things that are you can find other things that you're just as passionate about, that you love, and that people will also love as well. So this next one is a really big one, and it's about just feeling like everyone is already doing something. So saturation, we hear that word all of the time, and you know, for me, I feel like that all of the time. Just like I launched a planner last year, and I'm like, okay, well, so many other people are doing planners, you know, like what's the big deal? But the big thing is that you have to realize that no one is doing it like you. Even if there are a million people out there that have the specific type of stationery business that you're trying to start, they're still not you. They don't know what vision God placed on your heart to want to do this thing. There may be somebody out there that needs your specific product, your specific message, your specific business to come into their life to help them in whatever season that they might be in. A great example of this is with subscription boxes. So when I did my subscription box, I had one for a few years, and when I started my subscription boxes, they were blowing up. It wasn't like a brand new thing. It wasn't just a handful of people doing them. They were already pretty popular. And so I didn't let that stop me, because I felt like the fact that it was placed on my heart and things just kind of fell into the place the way that they did, I knew that there was a reason for it. And so I didn't really understand at first, because I wasn't getting a ton of people subscribing. Literally my first subscribers was my mom and my godmother, y'all. Okay, like no joke. And so that can in itself can kind of feel a little bit defeating as well. But outside of that, it wasn't until maybe like a few boxes later, maybe like 4, 5, 6 boxes down the line, as it started to slowly grow, as I started to get more business savvy and know what to do to kind of promote better and things like that, I started to get new subscribers. And these people, you know, they would stay on for months at a time. They would be excited about it. They would be commenting and emailing me, and I would get messages from specific people that would say, you don't even understand how important this was to me at this time in my life. I'm going through XYZ, because some people would share specifically what they were dealing with. And it would just be something that I would kind of have placed on my heart for the theme, not even a big deal, right? but it was a big deal to someone else when they received it. And so you have to think beyond just what you see on Instagram, what you see out there. You have to think beyond that and really get back to like, okay, why is this within me? Why is this something that I so desperately want to do? Because as soon as you start looking to your left and to your right, that is when you get distracted. That's typically when you pause on the progression you have, and that's when you just don't make things happen the way that you are here to make it happen. It's not going to be as fulfilling when you're always constantly comparing to what other people are doing or what other people have done and different things like that. So I just want to keep that in mind and stress that no matter how many people are doing something, y'all, you can still make something great. And then my last 2 points, they kind of go hand in hand, but the first one I feel like is a little bit more, I find that it happens a lot more, especially like when I'm working with different people, and especially when I'm working with different clients, and they'll kind of think to themselves like, oh, you know, I can just kind of post my product and then, you know, that's cool. People are going to come buy it. You know, I'll mention it one time, people are going to come buy it. And if you've been following me on this channel for a while, you know I always talk about the fact that you cannot just post something one time and expect that everybody's going to fly to it and that you are going to just sell out and that everybody and their mama is going to be talking about it. Because the reality is, because there are so many people out there, not even necessarily just doing what you're doing, but just people in general, it's really hard to stand out and it's really hard to be seen right away. And so sometimes you have, well, not even sometimes, you have to consistently show up, and you cannot feel like this is an easy thing. And so this is really where we're kind of getting into like the real of this whole business talk, because for me specifically, I share very real with y'all on here about sometimes I just don't be into it. I just don't be feeling it. But I know that because I'm not feeling it, then I have to accept the consequences of, okay, well, you may not have that much income around this time. You know, you're not going to get that much engagement on social media. You're not going to be reaching as many people because I decide to take a break, or, you know, life happens, or whatever the case is. And I'm really big on putting myself first and not letting my business run my life. But you have to realize that if you want to see success, you cannot just do something one time and expect that it is just going to take off. For some people, you know, maybe a very small percentage that will happen, but for the majority of us, we really have to put in the work. We really have to show up, and we really have to be consistent when it comes to really growing and running a business. It's not something that's just a one and done. You don't just launch something one time and then that's it. It's a constant thing that keeps going, and it's really a harsh reality for some people when they realize this, because, you know, you might put in all of the work and you make the product and you get everything ready to go, and then when it's finally time for people to purchase it, that's when you kind of sit back and you wait and like, no, girl, you got to keep going. That's when the momentum only needs to get greater. That was just the 10% of this 100% project that you're trying to work on. And so it's really important to remember that you are going to be constantly growing, constantly learning, no matter what. And even through the 5 years of me running this business, I am always learning something new, whether it's a new skill. Algorithms are constantly changing. There's always updates about different things. The market is changing. Some things were popular then that aren't popular now. And it's just important to always just stay up to date with everything and know that things are constantly changing around you. You have to be ready to adapt. And so I think the biggest thing I'm just saying is that it's not easy. And so if you ever are feeling like, oh, it's just super simple to get this started, it's not. And you know, I'm not ever a person to discourage anybody, because I'm all about people going for the things that they love, but I also am all about keeping it real and about letting you guys know that, you know, this is so much more than just pretty pictures online. It's so much more than, you know, a cute product and things like that. Like, it's real work, it's real hours, it's real sacrifice. And sometimes it can get hard. It's the reality. There's times that I cry because I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed. And so I just wanted to share that and get real with you guys. And this actually, I want to go ahead and mention this now. I wasn't going to, but I think it makes sense, because with just the topic of this video and everything, if you are thinking about, you want to launch a business maybe within this quarter or even at the beginning of next year, I have a business training that is going to be coming up on October 21st that I'm so excited about. I used to actually teach this back in like the spring of 2020. It's called The First 10. I'm bringing it back and I'm really excited for this one. It's a really low ticket training, but it's going to be in depth, y'all. You're going to need your notebooks. There's going to be a little workbook that comes with it. And I'm going to be walking you through the first 10 steps of how to start your very own business. This is for anyone wanting to start a creative product-based business. So it doesn't have to necessarily just be stationery, but it's going to really get your mind working on what are the necessary steps and things you need to focus on in order, and giving you some ideas of how to start implementing those things and making them happen. You put some dates to them and start really creating a plan so that you can really see this business happen. Because I know y'all gonna be putting on your vision board, you wanna do XYZ, but XYZ also has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all those steps before to get there. And so I want to see you succeed. So make sure you check out the link down below. Sign up for that training. You are not going to want to miss it. Okay, so the last point that I want to give goes with the point I just was talking about. And so just as, people feel like it's very easy. Some people feel like that. Some people almost take it to the extreme where they feel like it's impossible for them to do. And I think the biggest thing that I will say about this is that it's really easy to get overwhelmed because you do see a lot of moving parts, especially if you look at it, really any business, if they're doing pretty well, if they're pretty consistent and they're out there and you're seeing what they're doing, you might be like, oh my gosh, they're always going live. They always got a new product. They're always launching something every week. And so the biggest thing I will say is you really have to figure out what your business is going to look like for you. So just like I said about looking to your left and to your right, when you do that, sometimes it can really confuse the whole situation and make you feel like you have to be a replica of what someone else is doing. And so I felt like that for probably the first year and a half of my business, where I was like, oh my gosh, people are always doing $2 Tuesday. I have to do that too. And it just got to be ridiculous. And there were people every Tuesday and I felt overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know what to do on sale this week. It was just a lot. And that's just one example. But whatever it is that you're seeing someone doing, if they're going live every day, if they're posting every day, if they have a reel every other hour, or if they're posting YouTube videos 4 or 5 times a week, you don't have to do that. You really want to create your definition of consistency for you, what works for your life, what makes sense, and then that's what you stick to. So if Susan over here is doing these things and she's showing up online 30 times a day, that's wonderful for her. But if you can only show up 3 times a week, that is all that you need to do. But you want to come up with what does consistency look like, and realize that, of course, yes, the more you show up, the more eyes get on your things as well, but you have to give yourself some grace in the process. So if you have kids, if you have a demanding job, if you're married, if you have a lot of responsibilities, people relying on you, family, if you have other businesses and things like that, life can take away from it just being so simple to be like, oh, I'm just gonna give my all to my business and just fall into the place. That would be wonderful, but it can be a lot. And so even for me, I actually just recently pushed back my planner launch about 3 weeks due to life, because it's the reality of it. And I talk about this all of the time because it's just important to make sure things are done in excellence. That's a great way to put it. And so I knew that if I would have launched it on the date that I originally wanted to, it would have been rushed. It would not have been the way that I wanted it to be. I didn't really put my all into the launch like I wanted to. And it just crept up on me. So much was going on at the same time, with my family, just with everything. And so I was like, you know what? As much as I don't want to do this because I had already shared the date, I'm going to push this back because I want this to be done right. And that was a difficult decision I had to make, but that's the thing. I gave myself grace in that situation. And so while I'm saying, it's going to be a lot of work and it's going to be difficult and you got to show up and all that stuff, you also cannot be so difficult on yourself to where you are running yourself thin and into the ground either. So it's important to realize that you do not have to overdo it and post every single day, go live every single day, have a new product every week. You don't have to do that. Figure out what makes sense for you, what works for your audience, and that is really where it lies for you to focus on those things. And so I went from thinking I had to do something every single week to now I pretty much come out with new products maybe about every other month, because that's what works for me and it does well. And so you really have to just identify like what makes sense, right? What is gonna make sense for my lifestyle? If you're a solopreneur, it's just sometimes not as easy to do all of these things all of the time and still live life normally. And that is just how it is. I wish we could do everything and do it well. Laura Casey is one of my favorite people on the planet. She is the CEO and like founder of Cultivate What Matters. And she always says you cannot do it all and do it well. And when I heard that for the first time, it really resonated with me, but it was before I was married. It was before I had my daughter and everything like that. And now here, you know, I'm running 2 businesses, being home with my daughter full time, now doing virtual preschool with her, and, you know, being married and trying to run a household and all of these things. That is such a good reminder that you cannot do it all and do it well. So instead, focus on the things that you can do, cherish the moments that you do have, because to me, that's what really matters the most. You know, the business is not gonna go anywhere, but the people in front of you, they may only be there for a limited amount of time. You know, your well-being is so much more important than you getting a post up today. If it's really, you know, where you're really feeling that overwhelmed or whatever the case is. But you know, it all comes in seasons. And so there's gonna be seasons where you feel like you really have to put a lot of work in and you stay up late and you do different things. This is me. With my planner launch coming up, that's gonna be me for this next 3 weeks or so. But then once that's kind of over and I'm more so focusing on processing orders and everything, I'm gonna kind of take a back seat and kind of chill a little bit and prepare for the holidays. And so that's just really what it's all about. Realize it's a roller coaster. It's not always gonna just be constantly you're going up, 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 and you never have a chance to fall down. You get to dictate that, and that's also what's so beautiful about owning your own business. So that is the 5. I feel like I was talking for a while, but I hope that you kind of got some goodness from that. And I wanted to just share really quickly my last tip. So if you stuck around to the end of the video, here are just kind of my top 3 quarter 4 things to just start kind of thinking about right now as you're watching this, because sometimes we think about it and it's too late. So when you are thinking of quarter 4, obviously we know that the holidays are coming up. And so the first tip for you is to plan for the holidays now, okay? If you are planning on doing a 12 days of Christmas, if you're planning on doing a Black Friday sale, Cyber Monday, whatever, if you're gonna be doing something where maybe you're selling your stuff at like an in-person market or some kind of virtual whatever, maybe you're in a group sale, whatever the case is, fill your calendar up with all of those things. What types of giveaways do you want to do? Plan out your holiday now. Plan out that November and December time now, because it's gonna come up so quickly, and with life going on and you trying to, you know, fit it in and all of that stuff, while things are still kind of calm and chill, this is the time to really plan holidays so that when it gets here, it's not catching you by surprise. The other thing that I want to mention is that you want to, well, tip number 2 that I want to mention is that you really want to factor in that things are delaying. So if you are promising people that they're going to get something by the holidays, if you have gifts or whatever the case is, definitely keep in mind that shipping is out of your control. Once things leave your home or your office or wherever you're fulfilling orders, it's kind of like you're passing it on to the next team member in a sense, but it's a team member you've never met before, you've never trained them, you know, and you're just kind of like crossing your fingers that things go well. And so just realize that there are a lot of delays right now, and with the holidays, it brings on even more delays. So when you are giving your processing times, when you are doing pre-orders, whatever the case is, always factor that in and make sure that you look on whatever carrier's website you use, whether it's UPS, USPS, FedEx. Go on their websites and see what they are saying is going to be the last date for holiday delivery. And then I would make sure that that is what you articulate and share with your customers so that they're aware, like, okay, I gotta make sure I purchase by December 5th if I wanna make sure that I have a chance of getting this by the holidays. And December 5th sounds kind of early, but I'm just kind of saying, like, you never know, stuff is taking a little bit longer. So regardless, you wanna plan for those things as well, because you don't want anybody to be upset with you. And then the last thing I wanted to share, because like I said, it's important to give yourself grace, it's important to enjoy life, is to plan for some time off. My shop always takes a bit of a holiday break, usually right after Christmas. Well, usually a couple days before Christmas going into the new year. And the reason for this is because it's just a nice time to reset. I usually will sit down. That's when I'll do like my vision board, figure out what are my goals for the new year. I'll do my power sheets prep and just all of those different things, plan out my business, quarter plans and all of that stuff. And so I need a clear mind to do that. And sometimes with orders coming in and trying to post on social media and all those things, it can just get kind of clouded, you know? So I usually will take somewhat of a break. And so factor that in. Even if yours is only just a few days, if it's however long it is, go ahead and get that on the calendar now and be prepared to announce that and set that expectation for people so that they're aware, you know, that you're closing. But I think that everybody needs just a chance to enjoy the holidays and not be processing orders on Christmas and stuff like that. But I know every business is different, of course, and so you have to do what works best for you. But I love to just share that tip because it's important, and I think sometimes we can forget that, you know, like what the true meaning of this season is. And so, yeah. That is it, you guys. I have been talking for a while, but I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and finish my drink because when I watch these videos, you be seeing people, they be sitting there holding their cup. I be like, they just be holding it the whole time. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and drink the drink now before it gets too cold. But leave your comments down below, leave your questions down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.